Oh yes, sir. Oh yes, sir. Told you so. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's your boy Cam. Hey, it's time. Hey, I'm gonna have timestamps down below. Timestamps down below and in the description if you guys want to hear just my certain takes on certain fights. But it's UFC 300. Every fight getting announced. Every fight getting broken down. Every fight getting a prediction. Now, it's going to be more of my predictions more than a breakdown. But look, I'm going to break down some. I'm going to give my thoughts on some. But, yeah. Hold on. So, we going to get right into it. 135. Start off the early prelims. We got former bantamweight champion of the world, Cody Garbrandt, versus former flyweight champion of the world, Davidson Figueiredo. Now, look. I'm going to cut straight to the chase. Cody getting knocked the fuck out. He getting that ass whooped. Can't take much respect to Cody. OG in this game. Former champion. Dominant win over Dominic Cruz. TJ Dillashaw. Ever since the TJ Dillashaw fights, I mean, you ain't been the same. You cannot take a punch to save your life anymore. And you've been winning these close fights, boring fights in my opinion. The only reason a lot of people don't see them boring is you'll land a punch, start dancing. You'll miss a punch, still start dancing. You'll be way outside of range, and when a guy misses a punch, you'll start dancing. Don't do all. You ain't gonna have enough time to doing all that dancing shit because you might get KO first round. Figgy's power at 135 looks great, and I think you're just a stepping stone to get him closer to the higher ranked opponents. I don't even know if you're ranked. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to say you're garbage because you are maybe a legend. 13-5 doesn't look that bad. I mean, you were undefeated champion if I'm not mistaken. Maybe like 11-0 when you won the title, but now you done took some very bad KOs. Your chin definitely not the same. I don't think you could take a punch, and definitely not a crisp punch from Figgy. So I think Figgy pushed you out inside of 2 rounds, for sure. For sure. Moving on. We got Bobby King Green versus Jim Miller. Jim Miller, UFC 100, UFC 200, UFC 300. Damn it. Some people say he might retire, then come back for a little whatever, UFC 400. I don't know. But he's new Cowboy Cerrone. He's becoming, more people are starting to realize who Jim Miller is, but not a gatekeeper because he hasn't been championship level, but he's been in these rankings and he's been in this division for a while. He's been fighting, man. He's Jim Miller. He got all the records, the most fights, the most fight time, all that. That's Jim Miller. So we know who Jim Miller is. We know what he brings. He's sneaky too. He's a grinder. He wants to try to get a hold of you and catch you with a sneaky hook, catch you with a sneaky leaping cross. We know what Bobby Green brings too. Hands down, chin up. He's playing a young man's game, trying to move his head as a young man would, but you get older, those instincts start to go away, and you're getting caught with some of these punches, or you're trying to turn with some of these punches, but you're still getting caught with some of these punches. And I'm gonna be honest, ladies and gentlemen, that knockout that he suffered from Jalen Turner, I think it might be one of the worst I've ever seen. And not as, whoa, one punch knockout power. I mean, one punch knockout, he's KO'd. Bro, all the unnecessary damage that he took, it's really bad. I mean, what was it, 12 shots unanswered until he eventually just went out. I don't think he's ever going to be the same fighter again. I think Jim Miller, the underdog Jim Miller, I think Jim Miller catches him with a sneaky hook, sneaky leaping cross, KOs him. Bobby, with his chin in the air, hands down, bobbing, pop, pop, bobbing, pop, pop. He may catch Jim early with a few things. Jim has only been knocked out one time in his career, and that was by Dan the Hangman Hooker in 2017, I believe, who at that point I think he was a top lightweight in the world. I mean, I think he was climbing the ranks, getting to that championship level, At one point, Dan Hooker was at the championship level, Dustin Poirier kind of ruined that for him, and he really hasn't been the same since. But he was getting there. And, hey, fair play. But one knockout in his long UFC career, Bobby Green kind of has pillow hands to me. I mean, I know he caught Grant Dawson, but I think I've seen a lot of people eat punches from Bobby Green. I haven't seen Bobby Green eat a lot of punches from other people. I mean, he gets hurt in every fight. I mean, Tony Ferguson had him hurt. We obviously know what Jalen Turner did. I think Jim Miller catches him. I'm so serious. I think Jim Miller catches him, puts his lights out. I can see it. UFC 300, Jim Miller. I can see it, man. I can see it. Anyway, moving on to the next fight. Still in the early prelims. Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I think this was more simple. 2 solid boxers. Marina going to try to keep the distance, use her 1-2s. Jessica's going to try to do the opposite. Get inside, land her hooks. Looking at it, This fight could see the distance. I don't know if it does, though. I'm leaning towards Jessica, but I'm not 100% sure. This isn't a fight that I would put money on. I'm looking at my notes here. Marina suffered a KO loss from Amanda Lemos. So I want to lean towards Jessica catches her on the inside. But this could just be a slugfest. And I think it'll be entertaining. But if it goes to decision, I'm still going to lean Jessica because I think she'll be the one pushing the pace more, pushing the fight, controlling where the fight goes. That's really all I got to say about that one. Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. Money Moicano. I think this is going to be a good fight as well. All these fights, I think this should be one of the greatest cards ever. But Jalen Turner versus Money Moicano. Jay's going to try to stay composed, stay outside, use that reach, be calculated. Uses 1-2s, uses kicks. Try to just control it, keep it on the feet. Now, we have seen Jalen out-grappled at times, and we've also seen Jalen hurt somebody, Dan Hooker, then gas himself out, and that guy just walk him down, Dan Hooker. So, I think Money Moicano's way to win this fight is stink it up a little bit. Grapple, stink it up, clinch, stink it up, make it boring, get a couple boos from the crowd. Try to tire out Jalen Turner, and then just outgrind him in the later rounds. If I had to make a prediction, I don't think that's... I can see Jalen catching him early. Jalen catching him early with something and then putting him away. But if he doesn't put him away, I think he gasses and Nato Moicano can come back, maybe win a decision, a close decision, in the way that Gamrot did. Even though that was short notice fight for Jalen Turner, so I don't want to put too much stock in it. But at the same time, his fight with Dan Hooker was very telling. But he also missed weight in that Dan Hooker fight, so he didn't have a good weight cut, so that could have been everything. But when we see Jalen Turner, sure, as Bobby Green, you have the huge reach advantage with a guy who doesn't keep his hands up, and you have the speed advantage. So, of course, you're going to look good. But I think Jalen Turner it's going to come down to the weigh-ins. Jalen Turner on weight, good weight, I think he has no problem getting Renato out of there, and I think he can get the KO. Moving on, Sadiq Yusuff versus Baby Do Bronx, Diego Lopes. Ladies and gentlemen, Diego Lopes smokes Sadiq. The little slow 1-2s, the little slow marching forward. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Diego, like I said, Baby Do Bronx, he's coming out here looking for the finish at all times. I think he's going to catch him with some hooks. Catch him with some knees up the middle. I think Sadiq may even panic rush. He might get the sub. I think Diego Lopes finishes this inside of 1 round, very Charles Oliveira-esque. And that might be a casualty. That might be you don't know Sadiq. I know Sadiq hurt Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza went back to the stool, made adjustments, and dog walked Sadiq for the rest of the fight. So that shows me Sadiq can't really make adjustments. And I don't think he's going to need to make adjustments, but I think Diego's going to give him enough adversity in this fight to where it's like, okay, he's going to be overwhelmed. And I think he's going to go. I think the door's going to be there. I'm not going to say he's quit, but I think the door's going to be there, and he might walk out of it. Still on the prelims, we got Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. This is a tough one for me. A fight that I also wouldn't put money on. You got Holly Holm, who has no problem with stinking a fight up, making it boring, Staying on the outside, pitter-patter. If a clinch comes, okay, I'll hold you in the clinch a little bit. All right, let's separate, pitter-patter. I don't know if that's going to work with Kayla, because Kayla's going to be looking to take the fight to the ground, all steam ahead. New weight class for Kayla, though. Former 145er, now she's at 135. Holly Holm said if Kayla doesn't make weight, she's not fighting. That's funny. But with this new weight cut, does Kayla have stamina issues? It's a very possibility, Is she, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Is she sucked out? I want to know I'm going to be looking at how she looks on the scale. Gun to my head, I'm going to pick Kayla because I think it's going to be an ugly fight, stinky fight. Kayla cannot strike at all. Horrible. I think it's going to be a stinky fight, and it's going to come down to who dictated the fight, who pushed the pace, and that's going to come with Kayla. But if Kayla's dehydrated, bad weight cut, not as easy as she thought it would be, Holly could chin her. Like I said, again to my head, though, I'm going Kayla Harrison. decision. Now we got Calvin Kattar versus Aljo. I'm going against the sportsbook guys here. Oh, you don't know how bad I want to say Calvin Kattar is knocking Aljo the fuck out. I want to say it's so bad. Whoa. I want to say it's so bad. You know what? I'm going to say Calvin Kattar's knocking Aljo the fuck out. Calvin Kattar, that lengthy but strong build, brick wall. Aljo can't wrestle, ladies and gentlemen. I think he lands his takedowns at a 20% rate. It's bad. Okay, now, granted, Aljo can grapple once he gets a hold of you, but the problem is he can't get a hold of guys. And, excuse me, Calvin Kattar's not the craziest with the footwork and the lateral movement, but he's a brick wall. And he's lengthy enough to keep distance and make Aljo shoot from a mile away. And Aljo shoots from a mile away. And he could get caught with some shit, man. Now, Aljo up at 145. He's going to feel stronger. He's going to feel healthier. He's probably even going to feel more energized. 5'7". He's still 5'7", though. And he can't really strike. He has his weird little funky style. He's going to try to showcase the funk and use his kicks. And I think he's going to get caught. I think he's going to get pieced up here. And if it doesn't go, if Calvin doesn't knock him out, I think it's going to be a decision where Calvin just pieces him up. Maybe he'll get a takedown here or there. But when Calvin does get taken down, gets his wizard, gets right back up. So I don't think this is going to be a guy he can hold down. I'm going to be honest. I think Calvin's going to use his boxing very well. And yeah, I think the sports books people got this wrong. And I think Calvin's going to be, even though it's not an upset in my book, I think Calvin's going to upset Aljo and could really put him away. Especially after getting KO'd by Sean O'Malley. Wasn't the worst KO in the world, but, you know, once you get KO'd, man, I mean, you become hesitant. And you're going up bigger guys, more power. You can be hesitant. And you're also, like I said, you're shooting from a mile away. So, I don't really like Aljo's chances in this fight. I kind of would have liked him to fight somebody different in the division. Maybe someone like Calvin Kattar is coming off of an injury, though. ACL injury, I believe. Hasn't been in the octagon for a while, so it could be ring rust. So, that's not bad. But I would like to see Aljo fight someone like Bryce Mitchell. I think that would have been a better fight for him to come through. Bryce Mitchell, a guy who's small for featherweight, if you ask me. Bryce Mitchell, I'm trying to think of somebody else. But then again, don't rush Bryce Mitchell back, because that was one of the worst KOs ever. He said it himself. If Josh Emmett would have followed up on after that KO, he probably could have died. So, no, I don't want to joke about that, but it's what he said. It's his own word. So, maybe, I don't know. I just think this is a bad matchup, especially first fight in the new division. I think it's a bad matchup. Now, prelims main event. Jiri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. Jiri is knocking this dude the fuck out. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, he's getting knocked the fuck out. Jiri coming off of a loss. He's hungrier. Also, he ate a lot of leg kicks, which is something that Rakic is good at. He ate a lot of leg kicks in that Pereira fight, but Pereira doesn't telegraph. We know he has the best leg kicks in the UFC. The most untelegraphed leg kicks in the UFC. Rakic isn't like that. Rakic is big, man. You can see him coming from a mile away. He has the 1-2. Sloppy as fuck. 1-2. He has the low kicks. Sneaky head kick. But you can see it coming from a mile away. You're just going to have to be careful with those leg kicks because he needs to be able to bounce. He needs to be able to move. But I think, man, Jiri with the dangerous knockout power, coming off of a loss, hungry, determined, chip on his shoulder, knocked off some of that ring rust. Speaking of ring rush, as Alexander Rakic hasn't fought in like 2 years. Speaking of, I think Jiri's going to smoke this guy. Maybe inside of 2 rounds. Maybe inside of 1 round. I think Jiri smokes this guy. This is a fight that I will put money on because Jiri is the underdog. Still a minus 104-ish, but he's still the underdog, which is crazy to me. So, and the KO wasn't a bad KO from Pereira. He wasn't put out all the way. So it's good for him. So, yeah, I think Jiri smokes this guy. No problem. No fucking problem. Moving on. Finally on the main card, we got Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage. Bo Nickal by however he wants. Cody has a puncher's chance. That's it. Wrestle fuck you. Bo Nickal is one of the guys who is elite wrestler, who converted to MMA, and he also has submissions, which is great. He also has knockout power. Like I said, by however you want, Cody, you have a puncher's chance. That's about it. I'm not saying anything about this fight. Shouldn't have been on the main card. It doesn't piss me off too much, but it should not have been on the main card. That shit should have been on the prelims. But I get what you're trying to do with Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal, so I understand. Let's move on. Do Bronx versus Arman Tsarukyan. Hey, Blake. Do Bronx versus Arman Tsarukyan. Where you at? Do Bronx. Arman's getting knocked the fuck out. He's getting finished in 1 round, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting finished in 1 round. 1 round. 1 round. And I'm going to tell you exactly how the sequence is going to go. First round is going to open up. Arman's going to test the feet. Charles is going to be marching. Charles is going to open up with a crane kick. It's going to be marching. Front kicks, teeps to the body. 1-2s, right? Charles is going to be marching. There's no fill-out process with Charles Oliveira. It's going to be marching. It's going to be marching. Arman's going to shoot. I think Charles is going to pull guard. Charles is going to pull guard. He may sit there. Charles is going to pull guard. He's going to try to look for a sub. He's going to start throwing up triangles. He's going to start throwing up arm bars. He's going to start throwing up all kind of shit, right? Arman's going to realize, damn, this is not as easy as I thought it would be. This guy's pretty fucking good. And I think Charles is going to work his way back up. Maybe be against the cage. Eventually separate. Now that I felt you, I'm going to march you down. Here we go. I'm marching again. Teep to the body. 1-2 head kick. Hook, hook. Oh my God, Arman's rocked. Arman is a wrestler. What do wrestlers do when they're rocked? And maybe get dropped to a knee and wobble. They panic shoot. Arman's going to shoot. Charles is going to see that shit coming from a mile away, just like Beneil Dariush. He's going to stuff his fucking head to the ground. And he's going to tee off with ground and pound, or he's going to take your back and choke you to fucking sleep. Ding, ding, ding. Do Bronx, #1 contender for the title. Charles Oliveira. It's over. You're fucking done. Once again, Charles Oliveira is the underdog on the sports book, just like he was against Gaethje, just like he was against Beneil Dariush, just like he was against Poirier. And he's gonna fuck this guy up. Now, let me be honest. Obviously, Arman has the power, right, to do some damage to Oliveira. Obviously, Arman has the power. And I'm sure if Arman drops Charles, he's not gonna be scared to jump on top. Let's just be real with ourselves, right? But that's not enough. That's not enough to just say, man, he has some crazy power. Did you see what he did to Beneil? That's not enough. Gaethje has insane power. And he's a better striker than Arman. Dustin Poirier has insane power. And he's a better striker than Arman. Chandler has insane power. And he's more of a dangerous striker than Arman. All guys who Charles have felt and finished. Love you, DP, but he finished you. So, and he's not Islam. The thing that made the Islam fight so hard is Charles couldn't touch him. Islam is the hardest guy to hit. Maybe in the UFC, but definitely in that weight class. Islam is extremely hard to hit, right? These other guys not hard to hit for Charles. It's just Islam. He's technical. He's there. He's there. And you always respect his takedown, so you're not going to do too much, which also plays a factor. Man, look. Charles busting his ass. Also, I want to say one thing. Charles Oliveira chin looked real good against Beneil Dariush. And I think this time off is a blessing in disguise. I mean, that run that he had with Chandler and then DP and then Gaethje, I mean, those fights were back to back to back to back. Damn near all three of those fights might have been in the same year. Or within like 4 months of each other, right? So, I think this time off, we took time off before the Beneil Dariush fight, came out, looked fresh. He was able to take some punches from Beneil, and no jitterbug, no nothing. I'm still here, right? So, more time off. I think he's going to do the same thing. I think he's going to be good. His fighting style requires time off, and I'm glad he's finally doing it. And I think that cut that he suffered before the fight for Islam was a blessing in disguise. Do Bronx is fucking this guy up, ladies and gentlemen. Underdog, bet your money. Bet your money on Charles. Actually, no. I don't want to influence y'all to bet, but Charles is fucking him up. On to the BMF title fight. Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. These boys go bring the violence. Part of me wants to know how similar is this fight going to be to Max versus DP 2. And I want to tell myself it's going to be different for numerous reasons. One, when Max went into that cage, he was just a fat featherweight, right? He was a fat featherweight. He was a featherweight with that didn't cut as much weight and made 155. That's basically what it was. He was pudgy. He was a little thick. You know what I'm saying? That's the second time off. He's bulking now. He's getting his body, his frame, his muscle up to 155. So it's gonna be he's gonna be in more shape. Also going up, yeah, you'll have more power, but I don't think that weight's gonna just give you knockout power. You know what I'm saying? But Max is very precise. So if he can punch you in the right places, he can make, and plus it ain't hard to make Justin get Bambi legs. You know what I'm saying? But I think Max comes in more in shape and more cut to be a 155er. Now it takes time to make your body adjust to a 155. Excuse me. So I think he's gonna be, damn, he looks like a 155er. Not necessarily. But this is also the way his frame is. He's just a naturally skinny guy. It just is what he's a lean guy. It is what it is. One thing about this fight, I want to know, I think a big factor that a lot of people don't talk about is the stance that he comes in. Max Holloway versus Volkanovski won. Max, heavy on that lead foot. We know Justin Gaethje has some of the nastiest leg kicks in the UFC, and he throws them in weird places. He throws them when you have all your weight on it to where you don't even get a chance to check it, right? Max versus Volk won. Heavy on that lead leg. Heavy. Volk shut it down. It fucked Max's game up. Max versus Volk 2, however, heavy on the back foot, very light on the front foot. And that's how he's been fighting lately. He fought Arnold Allen. Very light on that front foot. And that's going to be his key to victory. That's going to help him to the victory. Can't get too heavy on that lead foot because Gaethje will chew it up, and spit it out. And then you become a sitting duck, right? So, Max, you're going to have to move. You have to be elusive in there. Not saying that I'm worried about you getting caught and getting KO'd, because one thing about you, I never fear. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he's had 29 fights in the UFC, never been dropped. Right? He's been hurt, but he's never been dropped. I'm not really worried about that. I really think this fight goes all 5. I think this is a banger and it goes all 5. I think Max Holloway wins on the stat sheet, but loses on the scorecards. That means I think Max outstrikes him, lands more punches per round, on more output as well. Lands more punches per round. Lands clean shots. I think he lands pretty good shots. But I think Gaethje lands the harder shots, the more damaging shots, the more oohs and ahs from the crowd shots. I think he draws blood faster. I think he draws more blood. And I think that wins him the fight. I'm not going to give a scorecard because a part of me wants to think Max lands a good shot on an overextended Gaethje who might want to be the first person to knock out Max Holloway, or might want to be the first person to drop Max Holloway. And when Gaethje has you there, he can overextend. And I can see him overextending, Max landing a clean shot and maybe having him do the jitterbug and stealing a round. And then maybe coming out first round being more active, still in the first round, and making it interesting, you know? So, gun against my head, I'm going Gaethje. I want Max to win, though. I think it's very interesting. It also clears out way for Charles Oliveira to be number 1 contender. And I think Max is going to stay on 155. I mean, he's bulking. He's getting his body right. I mean, I think this might be a permanent move up, ladies and gentlemen. So, that's how I think about that fight. It's going to be violence. Probably fight of the night. Blood being spattered. Just a war. Moving on. We got Weili Zhang versus Yan. Oh my God. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to butcher it. So we got Weili versus Zhang. Yeah, that's how we're gonna do. I don't think this fight's gonna be competitive. And a Weili fight, it deserves more attention. But you're just so much better than the competition. I almost treat it like the Bo Nickel fight. You have a puncher's chance, and not really. But you have a puncher's chance. But I think Weili wins this fight by however she wants. I think she can wrestle you for 5. She can strike with you for 5. She can clinch with you for 5. She can lock up a submission. Weili's the most skilled woman's fighter we've ever seen in our life. Ever. Respect to Amanda Nunes. Respect even Ronda Rousey, who was the pioneer for this shit. Respect to Valentina. Zhang Weili is the best women's fighter we've ever seen in our life. Not the greatest, because she doesn't have the accolades of Amanda Nunes and may never get the accolades of Amanda Nunes. But she is the best. Respect to Rose Namajunas, who has 2 wins over Weili, 1 and a KO win over Weili. Weili's on a different level than these females right now. A different level. A scary different level. That's how I feel about that. Now, on to the main event. Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill versus Alex Pereira. I think this is going to be a game of who catches who first. Alex does not move his head off the center line. He'll pull back for a counter. But he does not move his head off the center line, and he stands his ground. He wants you to come in there so he can try to catch you. Jamal Hill's backhand is never where it needs to be whenever. No. His lead hand is never where it needs to be. Or vice versa. If he's going in with a 2, his hand's not here. His hand's down here. If he's coming in with a lead hook, his hand's not here. His hand's down here. Alex Pereira has the best left hook in the game. Okay? So that's Alex's bread and butter. Jamal Hill has nice 1-2s with sneaky head kicks following him, and oh my gosh, I don't know, man. My heart says Jamal Hill, one of my favorite fighters in the world. My heart says Jamal Hill. My brain says Alex Pereira. If this fight turns into a shootout, I think Alex Pereira wins. If Sweet Dreams isn't on his back foot, being elusive, moving, using his head movement, I think Alex catches him, and I think Alex can take more of what Jamal gives than Jamal can take of what Alex gives. I think Alex clearly has the power advantage. Alex's leg kicks are going to play a huge factor. Is he going to be able to land those leg kicks? Which I think he is. I think you can train as much as you want and drill as much as you want, but you truly don't know how to defend those leg kicks until you're in there. And by the time you figure out how to defend it, the damage is already done. To where I think by round 2, the leg could be dead. And Jamal doesn't check kicks. So it is what it is. Another question is Jamal coming back too soon? Coming off of an injury. A lot of people say, we don't know what kind of training camp Jamal has had. Well, Jamal has been here before. He won the light heavyweight title on about a month or two's notice. Right? So this isn't nothing that he's not used to. He's fought quick. Like, oh, I'm fighting? All right, bet. Let me get in the gym. Right? But is it too soon off of that injury? What if that leg takes a few leg kicks? What if you're not moving on that leg like you usually would? What if subconsciously, Jamal's been talking a lot of shit. Jamal's been yapping about what he's going to do, so I'm sure he's as confident as ever. And now he's going to need that. He's going to need that. Man, I hope I'm wrong. But I think Alex Pereira knocks Jamal Hill out. I hope I'm wrong. But Jamal's hands were never where it needs to be, man. I mean, go watch some of these fights. I mean, he's overextending. Go over to Shera, caught him with some hooks. OSP caught him with some hooks. Thiago Santos caught him with some hooks. And all of those guys were able to take what he would give. Glover Teixeira fight should have been stopped numerous times. He got the shit beat out of him multiple times. Shouldn't have went that long, but he wasn't KOing those guys. But he does have a crazy output, and he will overwhelm you if you give him the chance. Jamal Hill can win this fight by KO. Alex Pereira can win this fight by KO. Somebody's getting KO'd, 5 rounds. Who catches who first? That's how I feel. And the one reason why I think Alex catches him first is because of the power advantage and the leg kicks. I think he's going to be able to shut down that movement. And Jamal's hand is never where it needs to be, man. It's never where it needs to be. And I think it bites him in the ass. I really do. I hope I'm wrong about that, though. But I think it bites him in the ass. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you think about these takes. I'm going to be live for it, y'all. Come tune in. Come swing by. UFC 300. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a great one. Thank you for watching this video. Until next time, and there will be a next time. It's your boy Cam saying check you later. Told you so.